Tom the granddaddy though, man. He the great Boomboski. 40 years of experience, you know what I'm saying? And he love it. This is a tri-coat, factory color, that's on an original ZR1 Corvette. So it's an orange base that has a metallic and it's a gold, like a tint, which is what we consider the candy, which is translucent, you know, so it adds influence to the color, and then obviously clear. That's the 3 stages. So we noticed that the gold wasn't perfect how to sample, because we got a bumper cover from Mr. Lofton that we cut a piece off and, you know, the way to check the color, make sure it was straight. So the first re-clearing was a sand down. We got a 2-for-1. We got the bed to knock down a little minor orange peel on it, and we added the, you know, a little bit of the gold top coat to it to get that gold perfect, and then re-cleared it then. You know, that re-clearing is what most people call a flow coat. You know, a lot of times when you clear, when you give it time to cure, it'll die back, and, you know, you might want to sand it down and add a little more. That's the benefit of a flow coat, to let it cure. Like I said, it's a 2-for-1. You have to sand it down to be able to re-clear it again, and in that process of sanding it down, you knocking down any orange peel, so you flatten it, make it slick anyway, you know, and then you add more clear to it, you know. And every time you add clear, if you got a good painter, it's not gonna be rough again. It's gonna all, because you already knocked it down with 1,000 grit or whatever you use, 1,200, you know what I'm saying, to knock that, you know, light little trash or orange peel down, and then go on with clear. So the first one was more on us. We was just adding more gold pearl, and then, you know, cleared it again. So the second clearing was what I consider the first stage of the flow coat process. You know what I'm saying? Sanded it down, you know, re-cleared it again. So it was a lot of, you know, and then everything's on the car painted. So you got to re-sand the firewall, the cowl, the jambs, the whole outside. But I must say, every time you sand it down and you add that clear, the flatter get if they're doing it correctly. And Mr. Tom, he was the original owner of the company before I took over. He'll be like, yeah, I like it, but I got a little spot right here that I want. And then you go look at the spot and you're like, I don't even see that, you know what I'm saying? But to him, is you know, he looking for perfection, you know, so. But if he ever gives you something as a positive compliment, take it to the bank, because he don't hand it out as much. I say, Tom, how you like it? He said, man, I'm looking at the hood. I think the hood is perfect. And it really made me feel good, because, you know, the hood's on them 5 feet. You know, that's a long blocking process to get it flat, you know what I'm saying? So then we went with our final clear, which is what you see here. You know what I mean? It's the last final clear on it. We'll do, you know, same process. Now it's getting ready to buff. So when we sand it down this time, it's just taking the trash out. You're not gonna be as aggressive. You know, as clean as it looks right now to me, you know, they might be able to start with something as high as 1,200, 1,500 grit. Normally you would go 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, 3,000, and then you go ahead and start buffing, you know, step 1, 2, 3. But you know, this one you probably could start at like 1500 because it's so flat, you know what I mean? As you can see, the doors are on the car. So with the final clear, once we got the color, once we put the gold, the extra tint coat of gold to get the gold right, and we got the color where we wanted it, now we can take the whole car back apart and re-clear the whole car separate, every piece. But when you paint it, it got to be together because the pearls and the, you know, the metallics in the car have to match panel to panel. So it's best. You know, there's some gangsters out there that can do it too, you know what I'm saying? But that's a hard trick. It's best to have it together, painted and everything. But now that we're just doing straight pure clear, we could take it apart and get every inch perfect, you know, because the contours of the car, the bottom of the rockers and things like that, you can really get attention to detail with it all taken apart. So this is phase 1 of the final clear. You know, you see the header panel, you see the body of the car, the skirts, fender extensions, and the hood. We didn't want to overload the booth, which is kind of full right now, but we didn't want to try to stuff the doors in and all of that. So next Monday, we'll bring in both the doors, both the fenders, you know, and any little parts we may have, and re-clear those flat, you know, to where he can lay the clear exactly how he want it, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and all of that'll be the last part of the final clear. And at that point now, when we sand it down and buff it, you know, we'll start final assembly, you know, putting everything together, you know, putting the, you know, the motor on the frame, body on the frame, wire it all up, get a, you know, push button start. You know, just to let you guys know too, we pushing hard. We did miss the Raw show, but we own for SEMA. The owner of this car birthday is in November. SEMA is November 4th, so we're gonna make up for it for missing that and hit SEMA with the car. So, newsflash, letting y'all know first here, man. We'll see y'all at SEMA, man, 2025, man. This body panel right here in the back, most people are not gonna paint. You know, this was float coated, this whole area. You didn't even have to do it, but you know, like this Lofton car, this is a show car that he's gonna drive like it's not. But these are areas where the typical paint job, they're not painting in here. Because all of this, keep in mind, is covered up by the bumper, the tail lights. You'll never see any of this. But every single inch of the car was, you know, sanded smooth, made sure it was perfect. Trunk lid went on multiple times to make sure all of the edges and the gaps and everything lined up. But like right now, bro, that fuck, like that clear, boy, that USC01, it feels thick, like candy, like a candy apple thick. You know what I'm saying? Like when you feel it, like, and it hasn't even been cut. Like it's smooth as shit, like right now, like real shit. Some people ride it just like this, no buff. Spot check little trash areas, but not the whole thing. Like how we gonna buff the whole, you know, whole exterior of the car gonna get buffed. So this car was cleared 3 times. The first time was we added the gold. The second time was the first full flow coat, what I would consider one, because we didn't add the gold or anything. And the last one, the final one, is what we have right now. You know, super clean, super proud of Mr. Tom. Super proud of all my guys here. You know, it took a lot longer than expected, but sometimes perfection, you can't put a time limit on it, you know. Shout out Mr. Lofton giving us the opportunity, being patient with us, growing with us as a company, you know what I mean? So you guys will see this more in depth. As we finish up, you know, you guys seen the hints of the trim and, you know, the plating and all of that stuff. So like, not only is it a beautiful car, the paint job is beautiful right now, like when you start to put the, you know, the tie and the shoes and all the accessories that go along with that suit, you know, you'll really start to see it come together. So definitely look good. You know, I can't wait to see it buffed. Can't wait to see it put back together. I can't wait to see those damn hood hinges and the dry sump with all of the pieces that were plated. I can't wait to see all of that stuff put on. you know, the steering column, you know what I mean, the new column, you know, the wheel, you know, all of that stuff. You know, I can't wait to get my hands started to do that. So once we're done with this, we're gonna shoot, being that the floor and the trunk was, you know, body work as well. We are actually painting the entire inside of the car. The full floor, the full trunk, everything will be painted and look just like this. And it's, you know, we're going so far because it was already body work, but you know, you still got to put carpet down, you still got to put music in the car. So a lot of that stuff you're not even gonna see, you know, like the meticulousness that's actually went into it. You covering up 1/3 of it, you know, they're not even gonna see it. But just imagine the peace of mind that you as a person who own it know, like, look at those cars that they built, like look how far they went at Ross, you know what I'm saying? So when you go that far, like it's more for the individual owner that this is peace of mind for them, like this is their vision of expectation of what they consider perfect, you know what I'm saying? Some people are like, man, it was perfect 3 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like $100,000 ago, like they would have been happy with it, you know? We just pushing the limits, especially for Mr. Lofton, you know, with the platform he gave us. So, and then, bro, like, you know, this is last thing I can go out in on it. This is a 72 Impala convertible. Only the Caprices two-door hardtop had the rocker motor, which is a very stylish piece and it's very expensive if you try to go buy it. We paid $3,600 for the full 12-piece set with all of the moldings. They were great condition. We sent them off, got them chrome plated, you know what I'm saying? So those are also going, those are details, what I say, when you start to add all of the trim and the accessories and the little pieces, the little knickknacks that you added. Like, bro, it's gonna be nice. Like, it's gonna be nice. I feel like it'll be respected by respectable shops. Like, it's gonna be nice. The one thing that I always liked was the beauty panels inside the hood. You know, we was already planning on doing something like that, but they took it to another level with the inlays and all of that stuff. So that's probably something we're gonna do as well, as a final touch to it. But you know, we already got, like, the customer built this car. Like, once we show it with his big brother and his cousins, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see why the color combination, the way that we selected certain things was to match in conjunction, because as we said, the owner owns an original LT5 powered ZR1, which the last year was the ZR1 in 2019 until now, 2025, they just came out with a ZR1 that's over 1,000 horsepower. That was the last year a ZR1 was made. He owns it, and this is the color of the car. So, saying all that to say, he already had like an idea. You know, he had a trajectory he was already headed. Obviously, we have to steer it and get it to where he want to go. But as far as like incorporating a lot of stuff that they had, he already had a kind of a vision. You know what I'm saying? But I must, you know, give a shout out to all those guys. I love the engine panels. You know what I'm saying? So that would be one thing that I definitely took notice of. You know, confirm that we definitely like to do that. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times when you're spending money on serpentine belt kits and all of your accessory features, your power steering show canister that hold your power, like a reservoir for that. You know, all of that stuff is polished or plated or painted, you know what I'm saying? You kind of, when you mount it, you kind of want to show it. You know, those are covering all of that up, you know what I mean? So, but I must say, look, it's almost like it flows and it ties together. It's beautiful. So that's one thing I would say. You know, other than that, like, just pushing it, man. Them guys really, you know, they really took it to another level, taking the QA1 apart, plating the adjustables of it, you know, all of your brackets and everything. Like, that was beautiful. But you see what he said, he had 7,000 just in gold plating alone, 7,000. So you can see how crazy it can grow to, you know what I'm saying? So he's born in 72, it was his car. Like, you know, this is a guy who can go buy a Ferrari tomorrow, a Lamborghini tomorrow cash, you know what I'm saying? He owned nice vehicles. He just was always attracted to the old school car too, which he has some different. He got a Grand National Buick, you know, he got a so, but this is the one that's really on what we into, type vibe, type shit, you know what I'm saying?